Hi, Cade and Alexis, and anyone else who's reading along with us. I am going to start reading your assigned book, The Magic Treehouse. We're going to start with number 1, Dinosaurs Before Dark. So before we get started, I want to make sure that you have your questions out, and we're going to go over which questions you should be listening for the answers to while I read chapter 1. Number 1, how old are Jack and Annie? Number 2, what did Annie find in the woods? Number 3, you're going to fill in this quote. So you're going to listen for when Annie says this. That must be the blank treehouse in the blank, said Annie. Number 4, why didn't Jack want Annie to go into the treehouse? So why did Jack not want Annie to go in the treehouse? And number 5, the treehouse was filled with what? A, shoes, B, boxes, C, books, D, wood. Okay, so be listening for those questions while I'm reading the chapter. Okay, so we're going to start with Dinosaurs Before Dark, Magic Treehouse by Mary Pope Osborne. Chapter 1, Into the Woods. Help, a monster, said Annie. Yeah, sure, said Jack. A real monster in Frog Creek, Pennsylvania. Run, Jack, said Annie. She ran up the road. Oh, brother, thought Jack. This is what he got for spending time with his 7-year-old sister. Annie loved pretend stuff, but Jack was 8½, and he liked real things. Watch out, Jack. The monster's coming, said Annie. So the answer to number 1 was in there. Did you hear it? If not, you can go back. Jack didn't say anything. Come on, Jack, I'll race you, said Annie. No, thanks, said Jack. Annie raced alone into the woods. Jack looked at the sky. The sun was about to set. Come on, Annie, it's time to go home, yelled Jack, but Annie didn't answer. Jack waited. Annie, he called. Jack, Jack, shouted Annie. Come here, quick. Jack groaned. This better be good, he said. Jack left the road and headed into the woods. The trees were lit with a golden late afternoon light. Over here, called Annie. Annie was standing under a tall oak tree. Look, she said. She pointed at a rope ladder. It was hanging down from high in the tree. Wow, Jack whispered. At the top of the trees was a tree house tucked between 2 branches. That must be the highest tree house in the world, said Annie. Who built it? Asked Jack. I've never seen it before. I don't know, but I'm going up, said Annie. No, we don't know who it belongs to, said Jack. Just for a teeny minute, said Annie, as she started up the ladder. Annie, come back, said Jack. But Annie kept climbing. She climbed all the way to the tallest branches. Okay, so the answers to 2 and 3 and 4 were on that page. There's the treehouse. Jack sighed. Annie, it's almost dark. We have to go home. Annie disappeared inside the treehouse. Annie, Jack called. Jack waited a moment. He was about to call again when Annie poked her head out of the treehouse window. Books! Annie shouted. What? Said Jack. It's filled with books, said Annie. Oh, man, Jack thought. He loved books. Jack pushed his glasses into place. He gripped the sides of the rope ladder and started up. Ooh, so the answer to the last question was in that last page. All right, so go ahead and answer your 5 questions. How old are Jack and Annie? What did Annie find in the woods? And then fill in this quote. That must be the blank treehouse in the blank, said Annie. Why didn't Jack want Annie to go in the treehouse? And what was the treehouse filled with? Okay, I'll see you later for chapter 2.